Are the Remparts the favorites in the Q? Is Joel Embiid the favorite for the MVP? Are the Montreal Canadiens now Stanley Cup favorites? All that and more at Sports QuaranTV. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports QuaranTV. Chris Dobson, Adam Lund joining us this week. Jerry is off on assignment with the Miramichi Timberwolves. Adam, of course, one of our favorite co-hosts here. Every time he fills in for Jerry when he's not around, co-host of the Moncton Wildcast podcast. Adam, as always, brother, thanks so much for doing this, man. I know that things have been hectic for you. Hockey season's in full swing. You're spent a lot of time at the rink, so I fully appreciate it, man. And we've got a great show here tonight.
No, thank you for having me. It's always nice to try and step into Gerry Green's slippers and try and give this show the level that he brings each and every week. So again, thanks for having me.
All right, Adam, let's kick off the hop because we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the QMJHL, your favorite topic, my favorite topic. You know, you're passionate about it, and I want to start right in your own backyard because you do shoot the Wildcast podcast. I want to get your state of the Moncton Wildcats so far. The first half of the season's out of the way. Trade deadline's come and gone. You know, overall, how happy are you with this team right now? What are the expectations setting? And, you know, how pleased have you been with the results you've seen?
Well, yeah, I'm very pleased. You know, myself and co-host Jeremy, I mean, not even us could have predicted that Moncton would be third in the division and third in the conference when we got to the
brother. I qualified them to not even make the postseason on your show.
Yeah,
when the season started. I'm eating my words.
Don't think we don't have that saved.
I'm eating my words.
And I think when you moved into the deadline, I think they had a little bit of an easier schedule in the first half. It's going to get much tougher here. They got 31 games in 60 days, which is another topic for another day. But I think they started to get to a point where Richie was able to reward this club with not moving out veterans like a Kalmakoff, a LaBelle, a Hamel. He rewarded the group that got them to third in the conference by bringing in a Jackson Bellamy. So you upgraded your defense, bringing in Jonathan Lemieux. So arguably you're even on goaltending when they shipped out Thomas Couture. So aside from the 8-1 loss, which, I mean, that happened due to COVID and they just didn't have any practice. So it's a throwaway game. But other than that, I mean, 31 games, 60 days, it's basically all in division. So you're going to see a lot of the Islanders, a lot of the Titan, a lot of the Sea Dogs. So just show up every night, and they've done that all year. Fans are starting to get back in the building. So it's an exciting second half for this hockey club. They just got to be able to continue playing Wildcats way. And that's being in every game, but it should be an exciting playoff type atmosphere each and every second night at the Avenir Center.
You know, you're bang on. And I've talked to Jerry about this week after week. And I said, like, not even am I just surprised, but it's amazing what a good locker room can do. And you can tell that these guys are having a blast. You can tell they're playing for each other. You know, we talked about Jon Loshing, you know, Max Barbashev's having a year. You know, everybody, I love these guys. I love watching what they're doing, but even the guys who are coming on in, the call-ups, when they're stepping up, look, they don't know the system, but they're filling their roles as best they can right now. And, you know, I absolutely love what this thing's like, what this organization's done. Like, you know, I love this team right now. Now you talked about the 8-1 loss. Yes, COVID played a huge factor.
Huge, yeah.
But at the same time, you got to give credit where credit's due, and that is St. John's a good hockey team, man. I mean, there's a reason they're hosting the Mem Cup this year. They're still working through a few kinks on their end as well, but it started to notice a few things starting to click for them. And the best part about Moncton right now is that, you know, they're going to, because a lot of their games in the second half of the season are going to be in division, like you mentioned. There's a great opportunity then for these guys to play spoiler, you know, because the Charlottetowns of the world, red hot. The Acadie Bathurst of the world, red hot. St. John's of the world, red hot. I mean, Moncton's in a tough division. These guys are really going to see what they're all stacked up about. But I want to talk to you about St. John now, because obviously as the host, they've had a couple weeks now after the trade deadline's over. You know, fans are starting to come on in. Have you seen enough from St. John? Do you think there's a chance they can go into the Mem Cup as a champion at this point, or do you think they're backdooring their way in?
Unfortunately, with the 31 games in 60 days for most of the league, I think there's going to be upsets in the playoffs. I think St. John might be one of them. And it might not even be an upset. They might lose to an Islanders in a second round. They might lose to a Bathurst in a second round. I haven't seen Charlottetown live or Bathurst live, so I'll reserve what those teams are like, but they're awfully good. I think you're going to see a situation where, and it's not the worst thing to lose in the second round. You're not really playing for a President's Cup. You're playing to win a Memorial Cup. So if you can get a little bit of a break, re-energize after all these games, I don't know why you would complain about that as a Sea Dogs fan.
A lot of the Shawinigan Cataracts back in the day when they were eliminated in the first round came back to win the Mem Cup after the Brandon Gormley trade with Moncton.
Yeah.
But you're bang on. To me personally, as an athlete, though, these kids don't want to go in the back door. You want to go in the champion. That's what you're looking for.
You want two banners.
Right, exactly. And I know that, TD Station's looking for a couple banners as well. And, if you look at what Trevor Georgie's done, and there's a few more kinks to work out, and Gordy Dwyer is going to, I think he's going to smooth things out. Their blue line's a lot more solid than it was. They've got some great goaltending now. I don't know. I'll be curious to see, but there's so many good teams in the Maritime division. I will stand by my ground, and I think that the champion does come out of the Maritime division, which is going to bring us into our last topic before we move on. And that is, on the Quebec side of things right now, as hot as the Quebec Ramparts have been, and yes, points wise, they are number one in the league right now. Do you think that they're the Q favorite at this point? Do you think they're the favorite? I don't even think they're the favorite in Quebec.
No, I picked Shawinigan at the start of the year. I looked at them and compared them right to Victoriaville. They had the 2 goaltending system. They have Borth, they have Xavier Bourgault, Olivier Nadeau. They added Patrick Dubé Peric Dubé, which, like Victoria adding Sean Element last year, that's your 20-year-old. I see Shawinigan as a team that they didn't do enough at the deadline. I thought maybe they'd add one more, but I think Shawinigan is my preseason pick. I'm sticking with Shawinigan.
I love it. And I remember when you called Shawinigan, and I feel the same way you do, man. I think Shawinigan could be the best team in Quebec. All right, Adam, we're going to stick with hockey, but let's change leagues. We're going to the NHL right now. I want to talk to you about the Montreal Canadiens. I get to do this because Jerry's not here, frankly, because he won't let me do it.
I'll allow it.
They've been a lot better overall in regards to players and how it's all played out and what's gone on. Yes, Marty St. Louis had to do some great press conference this week. I know obviously Jeff Petry's been the number one name thrown under the bus for God knows how long now, because he looked like garbage with the absence of Shea Weber. But overall, Jeff Petry made some great, interesting comments at a press conference this week, and that was Marty St. Louis makes coming to the rink fun again. And now there's rumors like, oh my God, they're not going to trade him. But the Habs overall have been better. And I want to get your thoughts on why. I know you're not a Habs guy, you're an Oilers guy, but I just want to know if you've paid attention, you've noticed. I mean, everybody online is talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know the Petry whipping boy scenario as an Oilers fan. That's why he's in Montreal.
Fair, right?
We've had that before, and but it's what you talked about with walkouts. It's a locker room that's fun, and if your coach can bring a locker room that's fun, and Marty St. Louis seems to have the Habs playing where they need to be, and it's an easy system, and they know what to do, and it's a lot like Edmonton and Woodcroft. There's been talk that now we know what to do. Now we're playing this system where everybody has a role, and that's what Montreal does. Do they need to trade Petry? I would say so. I would say you need him, Ben Sherratt. You need to trade as many as you can because you're in a rebuild, retool. And I just ask you, I mean, are they going to move on from Carey Price? He hasn't played.
No. They asked him. Carey Price spoke to the media. I agree with you. When this season started, I was all about it. I was like, you know what? Eat the con. Now, that being said, of course, with Shea Weber soon to be retired, how they're going to work out the whole Nashville piece in regards to who's going to eat the salary, because it's going to be Nashville if he retires. The question mark comes to, they interviewed Carey, and Carey said himself, he's like, I signed a long-term deal here. I had my cup run last year. He goes, I want to stay here as long as they want me here. And they've made it very clear. Gorton and Hughes said, you know what? This is your team, man. Like, you're the one guy who gets carte blanche. If you want to stay here, we'll rebuild with you. That being said, who knows what comes next year? Because you're right. He is still hoping to play this year. But the contracts you need to move on from, Brendan Gallagher has to go. I'm a big Gallagher fan, but he doesn't fit in the mold anymore. To me, it doesn't make sense. He'll never be the captain of this hockey team. The referees will never listen to him. He can't get the benefit of that at any point. So you know what? At that point, I think it's $5.5 million contract for a guy who doesn't score anymore. He's got to go. As much as it sucks and it's going to hurt fans, he's got to go. Right now, you build around Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Alexander Romanov, and then Josh Anderson. You don't move Josh Anderson unless the offer is unreal. But you talked about Petry, gotta go. You talked about Sherratt, gotta go. Even rumors about Arturi Lehkonen. I mean, do you see a guy like him go? Joel Armia, what's the situation there? I don't know. It's, as a Habs fan, it's exciting because as it stands right now with things moving on, the draft is in Montreal. And all these players could fetch you a first-round pick. I mean, could the Habs go into the draft this year with 3 or 4 first-round picks? It would be unbelievable. But again, next year is the year you want first overall. I like Shane Wright, but I love Connor Bedard. That's the one you're looking for.
Can Montreal fans handle 2 years of bottom hockey? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
with the transparency we've gotten from Hughes and Gorton, yes, we can. With Marty St. Louis,
Carey Price, if he's healthy, gives you a second year of bottom hockey to go for Connor Bedard. Like, I can give you Koskinen for Price, and you'll get Bedard no issues. You want Koskinen, that 1 for 1, done. But I don't know if a full healthy Carey Price gets you low enough in the standings to get a Connor Bedard.
Well, if it doesn't get you low enough in the standings, worst case scenario, he'll bring you a Stanley Cup. I mean, hey, who knows, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Because they made it very clear that they're looking to not even go through a full rebuild. They made it clear that they're going to try to use UFAs to speed this whole thing up. And that's what Gorton did in New York. I mean, don't forget, he brought Panarin into New York, and that changed everything. And yes, they had Alexis Lafreniere, and that all worked out. Yeah. But, he moved Rick Nash out to make a lot of the stuff all go take place. Look, plus they draft. I'm fired up. I know that there was rumors floating around he was going to try to get Bergeron. Bergeron was like, no, I'm not going to Montreal. I would get murdered if I did that. Yeah. But anyways, let's move on because we've got about a minute and a half or a little over a minute to go. And I want to talk about other teams who could make a cup run this year. I mean, everyone's talking about, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Colorado Avalanche, but what about Vegas, Boston, St. Louis, Washington? Are any of these teams even in the conversation?
In the East, I don't know how it's not Tampa and Florida, and that those are the teams. Right. So I don't know. I mean, Carolina is very exciting. I don't see a wild card coming out of there. I think the West is a little bit more wide open. You got you got 6 available slots, and Colorado, St. Louis, they're going. But I mean, last time I was on, I said Eichel might have been overrated. He seems to be fitting in nicely in Vegas. They're using the Tampa. They're using the Tampa LTIR with Mark Stone, so he'll be back for the playoffs. So. It's a very exciting. If Edmonton can get a goalie, I'm just saying, they just need a goaltender.
I agree. I think if the Oilers can get a goaltender, I think they are all set. All right, Adam, let's move on to the NBA. Yep. I want to talk about James Harden a little bit. Early returns. He played in Philly. I'll tell you right now what I think was hilarious after the Simmons for Harden trade. On the first game he played, he tied Ben Simmons' record for threes as a Philadelphia 76er.
Yeah.
I think that's hilarious. If that's not an ultimate troll, I don't know what is. Good on James Harden for that. But overall, I like the beard, man. I've always been a Harden fan. I know a lot of people aren't. You either are or you're not. There's no in-betweens. There's no gray area. I'm a Harden guy.
Yeah. I don't like the step back 3 thing. And he seemed like
that's fair.
He gets away with a lot. And so, but I mean, if he's committed, he can be a very good player. He's just got to be committed. And early returns in Philadelphia looks like he's committed with Embiid.
So, okay, let's look at other competitors who are out there. I mean, the Suns and Warriors are clearly the favorites in the West. Yeah. But are we sleeping on the Grizzlies? I mean, Ja Morant's an absolute animal right now. He's got highlight after highlight after highlight. I mean, watching the Grizzlies play ball again, it has been fun to watch.
Yep, I believe we are sleeping on the Grizzlies. Pandemic style. I got NBA 20, and that was my team because I didn't know anything about him. And Ja Morant is a video game in himself. Highlight after highlight. Does that translate in the playoffs? We'll have to see. That's a tough road to go through Golden State and then through Phoenix and then in the East.
Yeah,
I mean,
big time.
Chicago, I believe, behind DeMar is a team to be reckoned with in the East.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I see the Warriors as being back to where they were a couple of years ago, and I think they're going to start running that gauntlet again. But to me, overall, I think, like I said, we can't sleep on the Grizzlies, but they are going to have their hands full in the West if they're going to have to go through both the Suns and the Warriors. All right, let's talk MVPs just for a minute, because obviously the favorites are Joel Embiid, Jokic is in there. I mean, Giannis has to be part of the conversation. LeBron can't be considered. I mean, LeBron's having a great year. LeBron's a hell of a ball player. The difference is the Lakers are absolute dog crap. Yeah. But outside of Embiid and Jokic, who do you think are the MVP candidates?
One name that I'll just stick with in Phoenix, Devin Booker. I mean, CP3 is out, so if they can stay where they are, I can see Devin Booker as a dark horse.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to go with DeMar as well. I know you've got Booker. I'm going to take DeMar in Chicago. I think that it's exactly how this whole thing is going to play out. I love the MVP race, but again, you can never count Giannis out either. But to me, my guy's DeMar. That's where I'm going with it. And I think he is going to take it. I think the Bulls are going to go on a run. DeMar is my guy. All right, Adam, it's time to debate this. And this one's actually really cool. We were talking about it offline. TikTok brought this thing up, Face the Franchise NBA teams. Yeah. I thought it was great for us to talk about it from a Toronto Raptors perspective. Right. In your opinion, who is the face of the franchise in the history of the Toronto Raptors?
Well, there's a lot of names, but I think overall, for me, it's Vince Carter. In high school, I grew up with Vince Carter as the face of the Toronto Raptors. Without Vince Carter in Canada, we might not have the Raptors. We might not have, well, we had the Grizzlies, but we didn't have them for very long because they couldn't get a Vince Carter.
Big country,
player.
baby, big country.
Yeah, they couldn't get a Vince Carter type player. So, and I get that there's a lot of love for Kyle Lowry because he got the ring. But he got the ring with some help from a very, very big superstar. Vince never had that second superstar to go with him. So for me, I think it's Vince Carter. He changed the generation in Canada. A lot of these Canadian kids coming up to play basketball are now playing basketball because they watched Vince Carter. So when I think Raptors, I think Vince Carter.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm glad you have an opinion, even though that opinion is wrong. There is absolutely 0% chance you can't look at this Raptors franchise and go, who is the best Raptor of all time? Statistics speak numbers about it, and that is DeMar DeRozan. Even though he wasn't there, and yes, you're right, Kyle Lowry got a ring. First of all, Kyle Lowry didn't get anything. Kawhi Leonard got a ring, and that's all everybody needs to understand.
Because DeMar DeRozan too. Because without trading DeRozan, they don't have the pieces to get Kyle or Kawhi.
I have absolutely no beef with that statement at all. In fact, the only thing I have a problem with is the fact that Lowry was a whiny little anyways. As soon as DeMar DeRozan got traded to San Antonio for Kawhi Leonard straight up, my best friend's gone. Whatever, you're gone. You got a ring, move on. DeMar DeRozan leads the team in games played, field goal percentage, free throws. Like he's the face of the franchise that way. He is the best Raptor to ever wear the uniform. It was heartbreaking to see him go, but like they say, he was the sacrificial lamb. And because of that sacrifice, they won a title. Exactly. Let's move on. Topic number 2, new GM in Chicago makes it very clear with what's going on with the Blackhawks right now. They're going to officially be in rebuild mode. Now, the question is, should they move on from Captain Jonathan Toews and superstar Patrick Kane at this point? They're a little older. If they're rebuilding, what should they do?
Well, hopefully they don't follow the Oilers model of rebuilding, or they're going to be in this in another 10 years. But I think you move one of the two, and I think you move Patrick Kane because I think his value superstar winger is you can probably get more for him. I think they also want to try and move Marc-Andre Fleury, but I think keeping Captain Serious, Jonathan Toews, I mean, he is the captain. He's the face of the franchise for the past 10, 15 years. I think you keep him as your mentor. You don't need both of them. So I think absolutely you move on from a Kane and you get the best, and hopefully you hit on draft picks. But I think you have to move on from Kane. You keep Jonathan Toews kind of to steer the ship. And I do see both sides to get rid of all of them just because of everything behind the scenes of the Chicago Blackhawks. And, you rid all of that, but I think you keep Jonathan Toews for your leadership and your grooming of your next captain, I guess.
All great points. I think at this point, that team is Alex DeBrincat's in moving. Like it'll be his team moving forward, right. Or possibly even look at a guy like Kirby Dach. But overall, if you look at the Blackhawks today, I think the answer is yes. Move on from them. Let them go. First of all, Jonathan Toews hasn't played a full season since what? 2018, 2019. Like that, I mean, the guy is constantly injured. He's basically as fragile as it gets. Patrick Kane, when he's not out beating cab drivers, he's figuring it out. Now he's a superstar. I love it. Look, I actually really enjoy Patrick Kane as a hockey player, but for the Blackhawks to, try to remove the blemish that is from the organization, you've got to wipe the slate clean. You've got to rebuild from the ground up. I like all the moves they made out of the front office. You talked about Fleury. The craziest thing about Fleury was that rumor about him possibly going back to Vegas and how quickly he squashed that. And I was like, good. But I think this team needs to move on from every veteran for the most part on this team. You've got a couple seasoned guys in there, maybe a couple guys who are on the bubble, but overall, anybody who could acquire any draft picks for you, because whether you love them or you hate them, Jonathan Toews can still fetch you a haul at the trade deadline. Right. Patrick Kane, is talented enough to fetch you a haul at the deadline. And then if you do move on from Marc-Andre Fleury, I think you're setting yourself up pretty nice. And, with the next 2 years of the NHL draft, picks are looking pretty good. The first round picks are actually going to be pretty solid this year. And of course, don't forget the Connor Bedard draft the year after that.
Yeah. And if you're going to rebuild, you better hope you're rebuilding to the bottom to get that Connor Bedard to add to your franchise, right? Like that's the one. That's the second Connor you're going to want to try and get in the past few drafts.
And last topic of the debate, and this is a good one because you and I are both junior hockey guys, and that is, of course, the IIHF announced that the World Junior Tournament will be scheduled. It is happening in August. The debate, this topic is, do you care? I mean, is this a big deal to you? Is this something you're excited for?
Yes. I love junior hockey. I love watching hockey. I mean, I'm the guy that's in the rinks in Moncton here watching practices and watching games in the middle of August. And, we just, this country as a whole loves the World Juniors. And I think they love it because it's at Christmas time. There's nothing else to do. It's freezing cold in most places. August, junior hockey. Yeah, I think you'll have the appetite because, there's no other sports on. So if you're in Edmonton and you're not doing a wedding in Red Deer, you can go to these games. And so that's, I think you're going to see that. I worry what the product is going to look like with the eventual, what we have going on the other side of the world, and, what kind of players we're going to get. But I think overall, I think fans in that market in Edmonton will be happy for it. And I think people will gravitate to it because TSN is going to pump it like they pump it every year. Well,
again, I appreciate your opinion, even though it was a foolish take. I don't know. No, it's not that. I have a hard time. And the reason I have a hard time with it this year is that because of the rules and everything that's affected going into it. So now, of course, Russia will not be there. Understandable. But to me, it's a matter of teams, like the entire tournament has never taken place. Now, games that have played don't exist anymore. Teams are allowed to redraft their roster. It's a mockery of the IIHF World Juniors. Now, as a hockey fan, am I excited? Of course, it's hockey. I'll watch it. If there's only competitive darts on TV, I'll watch it. I don't care. But overall, to me, it's lost everything. And the only way this tournament's going to pique my interest is two things. One, if I get to see Logan Mailloux playing for Team Canada because he is lighting it up in the OHL right now. Two, if baseball is still not happening. Other than that, I don't care. And I think a lot of Canadians and people around here were with me. I think they agree.
Yeah. I think people would rather just scrap the tournament, call it for what it is, and come on next Christmas with a whole new batch of players in a brand new city. And it's not going to be in Russia. So where is it going to be? And
right.
I've got a few thoughts on where I think they should put it.
Moncton? Should they put it in Moncton?
You know what? That's part of it. Like, at what point are we going to get back to smaller CHL cities? The Saskatoons, the Reginas, the Monktons, the Halifaxes. I mean, you're trying to grow a market of hockey in Seattle. If you're not going to Russia in 2023, why not put it in Seattle? You can have your NHL market and you can satisfy the WHL market with the Seattle Thunderbirds. That whole US division is great. Plus you got Vancouver that's really close. So all your Canadians will come down. You're basically in Canada. You're going to have, I think that's where you need to go and start concentrating on smaller markets, because the NHL rinks lose it for me. It's becoming too corporate in my opinion.
Good God, handsome and smart. All right, Adam, let's move on to the final segment of the show. Time for the wrap. Everybody loves it. Let's start right off the hop. We're going right to your Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady officially retiring.
Yeah.
What do you think the plan is behind the line? Who's going to start taking the snaps down?
Well, Jason Licht yesterday at the Combine said we're going to leave the light on for Tom, so you never know, but you kind of think he's not coming back. I don't think it's Wilson. I don't think it's Watson. I think that's an organizational sign-off. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to lean with Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask. They've been in that offense. They know that offense. If you build around them, you have a chance to compete in a really bad NFC South. So there is a window to be a division champion. Obviously, MLB cancels the first two series of the season. You're a big MLB guy. How does this affect you and, Blue Jay fans in general?
Well, as far as a Major League Baseball fan goes, I will say this is ridiculous. I'm at a point now where I feel for the guys, right? Like, I mean, I feel for the fans. The fans are the ones getting robbed here. And the fact that Manfred could sit on the podium, look back, make the comment, make the decision that they're not going to reach a deal. I mean, this is the first time, I think, 94, 95, so that was the last strike, I think. This is something like this has happened. So if you look at how Manfred's handling this whole situation, he sits there on the stage and smirks and then smiles and takes these photo ops because they couldn't strike a deal to get done. Drives me bananas. I hope they get this thing worked out sooner than later. You are right, Adam. I'm a huge Red Sox fan. I look forward to baseball season every year. Hey, but at the end of the day, according to Manfred, it's just a piece of metal that they're playing for, right? So I mean, who am I? Who am I? Anyways, what about the CHL Russia series, Adam? It's been canceled officially.
Yeah, that kind of sucks on that. I mean, it's kind of cool because Moncton was one of the last Q cities to host it, but I think that's going to hurt the league from an all-star perspective. I know Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show in Edmonton, he had a really good idea. The Europeans and the North Americans that are in the CHL versus the WHL, the OHL, the QHL, at least allows you to have an all-star game, have a big event, especially coming out of a pandemic. And Hockey Canada can use it, as well as other federations for World Junior teams moving forward. Obviously, a big fight this weekend, Covington versus Masvidal, UFC 272. I'm not a UFC guy. You are. Are you pumped for this?
Fired up. Fired up because these guys genuinely hate each other. These guys came up, they fought in the same camp, they did everything together, they trained together. I saw a great interview with Dana White and Pat McAfee this week where he's talking about how, obviously promoting a fight where two guys don't like each other is a lot easier. Yeah. Colby Covington's just an unbelievable fighter, although Jorge Masvidal has made it very clear that he plans to make this fight look easy. This fight's in Vegas this Saturday. I can't wait. I'm sure I'll be watching it. I'll see, I think a lot of people are going to watch it. I think Vegas is going to be slammed. I can't wait. Other big news coming off the gridiron, New York. Saquon Barkley officially on the block?
Yeah, but how much of that is just posturing? I mean, if you're going to have Daniel Jones, you want to have a running back in behind him that can actually make some hay. He's been injured. He's coming off 2 seasons full of injury. I just don't know what his market is to trade for him. There's not a lot of guys that want that big name running back. When you can get guys in the second, third round of the NFL draft here in the next month that can come in and make an impact. So do I actually think he gets moved? No, I think it's more just a posturing from New York and trying to keep New York in the NFL headlines. So the PGA World, you and Jerry had it last week. This is now back-to-back L's for Phil Mickelson. This time, just like 2002, it's the Tiger. Update the fans.
Oh my goodness, man. I can't even say poor Phil at this point. Phil goes off on Twitter talking about how he was talking about the crazies and how pumped he is that he won the PIP. First inaugural year for the PIP award. And I think it's great. And Tiger absolutely owned him on his response to that tweet. And of course, Phil goes off without a tweet, basically talking about everything, saying, I'm going to find something else to be controversial about. Tiger gets awarded. He wins. Tiger just retweets that with the word whoops, as Tiger Woods has won the first inaugural PIP award for the PGA. Absolutely love it. Phil taking back-to-back L's. But hey, it's fun to see this kind of thing happen in the PGA. I do feel for Phil. Phil's going to land on his feet. I have no doubt in my mind this is going to blow over. But at the end of the day, hilarious to see Phil make it, back-to-back weeks going that right. Well, guys, it's been a great show for us. Thanks for tuning in, Adam. Thanks again for doing this, buddy. And we will see you guys next Thursday.